ESPN has released their all-quarter century NFL team. And the question is, does ESPN know what they're talking about? Is this accurate or is this incorrect? Well, luckily for you, I'm here to give you my opinion, my analysis, and my reaction. Is ESPN right? Did they get the right players on the team? Let's go, man. GRONK, spike the like button. Don't be a jabroni, and subscribe for more NFL content just like this. And get in the comments and let me know, did ESPN get it right? Or did they get it wrong? Let's take a look at what ESPN thinks is the all-quarter century NFL team. So here we have it, guys. The NFL all-quarter century team, best 53-man roster. So they picked 53 players for this team. And I am strictly going off the top of my head when determining the players that miss the list. So keep that in mind. That's why I need you guys in the comments. Let me know if I forgot about any players that deserve to be on this team. But I'm going to give you my just raw reaction to this team, to this list. So they also picked the coaches, which is interesting. They had two different people collaborate on this, Aaron and Seth. I've heard of both of these guys before, so that's interesting. At this point of the NFL offseason, front offices are starting to think about their final 53-man rosters for the upcoming season. Tough decisions are on deck for all 32 teams. But let's expand the scope. How would a full all-NFL roster look for the past 25 years? Okay. We picked the best NFL players since 2000 and filled out a complete lineup. If you guys want to put in the comments your offense, your defense, your dream team since 2000, you are welcome to. I'd love to read that and react to it and give you my opinion on it. Players are still eligible if they began their career in the 90s, but only production beginning in the 2000 season was considered. These decisions were made mostly on statistical output, focusing on peak seasons while still rewarding longevity. We relied on FTN's DYAR metric, defense adjusted yards above replacement, say that 5 times fast, which calculates a player's value over the course of a season compared to a replacement level baseline. Other advanced statistics were also taken into account. I like reading this so you guys actually know what they did here. This team includes 25 offensive players, 23 defensive players, 5 special teams players. For another wrinkle, we filled out a full practice squad with the players who just missed the cut. Okay, interesting. Thank you for that. Let's get to it. So, the most obvious pick in the entire video, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. is the starting quarterback, I assume, but he's one of the 3 quarterbacks. Resume, all-time passing yards leader, passing touchdowns leader, 7-time Super Bowl champ, 3-time MVP, 6-time All-Pro. The best evidence of Brady's greatness is his all-time high in Super Bowl rings, of course. But he exemplified both team and individual success throughout his career, which makes him the GOAT. His 2007 season is the best in NFL history in DYAR and ESPN's QBR. He was almost as good in 2010, despite playing in a completely different offense structured around 2 rookie tight ends. Interesting. For a long time, there was a great debate, Brady or Manning, but Manning called it a career after 39. Brady won 2 Super Bowls in his 40s. Nobody has ever played well for that long. Okay, I didn't need to read all that, but Tom Brady's my guy. Tom Brady's the GOAT. Tom Brady deserves the respect of reading that. And yeah, Tom Brady. Okay, self-explanatory. If you don't have Tom Brady as your starting quarterback, leave the video right now. I don't want to see you. Get off this video. Don't watch the bottom line view. Get out of here, jabroni. Peyton Manning is also on the team. I agree with this 100%. Peyton Manning is arguably the second greatest quarterback of all time. Arguably. Okay? He ranks second behind Brady in DYAR since 2000. He has 3 of the top 5 seasons in total passing value. 13, 04, and 06. 06, interesting. Okay. I like it. Patrick Mahomes is the third quarterback. Now, they chose Patrick Mahomes. This is the controversial one. They chose Patrick Mahomes out of Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers. Okay. Interesting. Even maybe, I guess not Brett Favre, but that's interesting. Right? I don't know if I would do that. Now, based on the peak, they may have an argument, but Mahomes isn't close to the near of the end of his career yet. And you're only basing this off of 2017 when he was drafted, 2018 when he began his career, to 2025. He does have more Super Bowls than those guys, but like the accomplishments and the yards and the touchdowns and all that stuff is definitely much lower. So let's hear what they say here. There are arguments for Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees, but we believe Mahomes deserves a spot on this team despite his relative lack of MVPs or first-team All-Pros throughout 8 seasons. Okay. His QBR for his career is 75, which trails Manning, but is ahead of Brady, Brees, and Rodgers. And from the unbelievable throws to the mistake avoidance to the postseason heroics, we're choosing peak Mahomes over peak Rodgers or Brees. Okay, I think I would go with Aaron Rodgers for now, but I understand Patrick Mahomes. He did win more, and he has won more, but Mahomes doesn't have the MVPs or quite the individual acclaim yet of Aaron Rodgers. And I also think that Aaron Rodgers at his peak is one of, if not the most talented player I've ever seen at the position. The accuracy combined with the mental capacity, combined with the arm strength, the arm angles, the mobility. It's tough to argue that Rodgers isn't at least in that conversation. And because he has more longevity throughout this overall century so far, I'd probably lean Rodgers. But I can understand Mahomes because of the winning aspect, which Rodgers went to multiple NFC championships, but only went to 1 Super Bowl and won 1 Super Bowl. Drew Brees wouldn't be much of a consideration. I'd give him an honorable mention, but he wouldn't really be, like a real consideration. Running back, Priest Holmes. Wow. Okay, first of all, Priest Holmes was an absolute dog, first of all, okay? But Priest Holmes is your first running back on this list. Not LaDainian Tomlinson. Not Adrian Peterson. Priest Holmes. We're going to see how this list shapes up here. But running back is interesting so far. Priest Holmes. Resume. 3-time All-Pro Super Bowl champ. 1-time Offensive Player of the Year. Yes, Holmes is our RB1 over anyone else. Think back to the turn of the century when Holmes emerged from the Baltimore bench to drive the powerful offense of Vermeil's Chiefs, using a dynamic combination of rushing and receiving. Other running backs might have had longer peaks, that's for sure, but Holmes' peak was ridiculous. Let's be fair about that. He was a fantasy legend. From 01 to 03, in the advanced DYAR metrics for total value, no one could match him. Okay, interesting. These seasons rank 15th, 2nd, and 3rd among all running backs since 1978. Yes, but my problem is that Holmes really only had those seasons on his resume. I think maybe 04 as well. But like after about 05, the guy completely fell off the cliff and wasn't even like a part of the NFL anymore. So he had like a 3 or 4 year stretch where he was impeccable, phenomenal, arguably the best running back in football, if not the. But after that, it's like, I don't know, man. He doesn't have the longevity for me compared to these other guys. And I don't know if you could argue he was more talented either. I don't think he was more talented. Christian McCaffrey, also on the list. I don't know if I disagree with this necessarily, but I don't see LaDainian Tomlinson or Adrian Peterson so far. And those are the first 2 names I brought up. He is a Offensive Player of the Year, a 4-time All-Pro, and 10,000 all-purpose yards with 81 all-purpose touchdowns. Now, McCaffrey already has more all-purpose yards than Priest Holmes by nearly 2,000. So that's interesting. I will say, okay, McCaffrey, if you're talking about well-rounded running back play, rushing, receiving, blocking, you can make a strong case. A strong case. If that's what they leaned on as well with Priest Holmes, but they kind of lean on the advanced metrics when it comes to Priest Holmes. Not necessarily the well-rounded game, although he did have that. My problem is, though, didn't LT have like a 100-catch season one year or something like that, or like a 90, 80-catch season? Like, the guy could catch the ball. Let's not pretend like he couldn't catch the ball. He also had a 31-touchdown season. 31? I don't see any of these fools doing that. McCaffrey came kind of close. As the best receiving back of the past 25 years, McCaffrey needs to be included. I'd also throw out Marshall Faulk. He averages 47 receiving yards per game, which is more than anyone else with at least 500 carries. Okay, cool stat. I like the stat so far. But he's not only a receiving back. What makes McCaffrey special is that he has maintained a 4.7 yards per carry. That's pretty impressive. 14th all-time, or 14th in this century. Okay, cool. Derrick Henry is on the list. Again, good pick. But Derrick Henry, if you're talking about well-rounded game, there's no way he deserves to be here. I'm sorry. And also, just as a straight rusher, I probably wouldn't take him over peak AP. I wouldn't take him over peak AP. As good as Derrick Henry is, I don't think I'd take him over all day. King Henry gives this team a power rusher, but style aside, Henry's production really earns him his spot. 4.9 yards per carry puts him ahead of Peterson and LaDainian Tomlinson. At least they mentioned them, whom we also considered for this spot. His 2.4 yards after contact per carry make him number one among all running backs. That's a good stat. He also has a very low 0.6 fumble rate. Practice squad was LaDainian Tomlinson. Adrian Peterson did not even make the practice squad. My running backs, if I had to choose, I would not have Priest Holmes. As good as he was, I would not have Priest Holmes. If it was up to me, I would probably have LT, Adrian Peterson. Boy, oh boy. It's McCaffrey or Henry, I think. Saquon also was not mentioned. But I would probably say... Oh, man. Probably peak King Henry. But McCaffrey... If we're going third down back, I would go with McCaffrey. But yeah, that's tough. Fullbacks, Kyle Juszczyk, 2-time All-Pro. Only 2-time? Are we sure? That seems inaccurate. Juszczyk's 9 Pro Bowl selections are 4 more than Ravens' Patrick Ricard and 5 more than Lorenzo Neal. Lorenzo Neal was a dog. He's a unique playmaker at fullback. I don't disagree with that. I'm not going to be mad. Wide receivers. This is where things get interesting because there are a cajillion wide receivers that you could choose from here. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments at wide receiver. Already, though, running back is absolutely off the wall bananas. So you guys let me know who your 3 running backs are. Wide receivers are Randy Moss. I can't disagree with that. Even without his impeccable 1998 season and good 99 season, he still had 12,000 receiving yards in the 2000s. Keep that in mind. The greatest receiver of the 21st century based on eye test. Randy Moss dominated in advanced metrics. He set the NFL record with 23 touchdowns in 2007 and ranks 3rd all-time in DYAR. Ranked number 1 in receiving 3 times in each of those seasons. He also is the leader in total receiving value. Okay. Which puts together a player's top 5 seasons or top 10 seasons. He's a legend of the podium interview. That is true. Yeah, Randy Moss, without a doubt. The freak Randy Moss. Best wide receiver since 2000. Probably for most people, the 2nd best receiver of all time. Maybe the best for some people. Calvin Johnson. Being the number 2 is interesting here because he did not have the longevity Only played, 8 or 9 years in the NFL. But this is where they're going to talk about the advanced analytics, I assume. Johnson leaped over defenders for 1,600 plus yard seasons, the all-time receiving mark in 2012. He ranks 4th since 2000 in yards per game behind only current players who have played far fewer games than Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua, and Jamar Chase. That's a fair argument. What's most amazing about Johnson is what he did without Stafford. Johnson managed 1,300 yards with Dan Orlovsky, Dante Culpepper, and John Kitna. So honestly, there was not a great argument here. I know that he had like the most receiving yards in a year and stuff like that, but guys have had pretty damn close. So I don't know. I love Megatron. He's incredible. The combination of size, physicality, speed, hands. I don't know if I've ever seen a guy like that. Like, honestly, he is literally built in a lab. But there are guys that were more accomplished. Julio, also built in a lab. Okay? If we look at every player's 3 best seasons by receiving yards, no wide receiver matched 5,141 yards. That is a good stat. 4 yards ahead of Johnson. If we do the same exercise for each player's best 5 season, Jones sits atop again. So they very much leaned into the peak. It seems like. They very much leaned into the peak. They didn't really care for the longevity as much. So keep that in mind when you are critiquing this. That's pretty obvious. I don't know if that is something that you should do or not, but that seems obvious. Julio, okay, I don't know if he would come to mind right away. I don't know if Julio would be number 3. Like T.O. here, who they have 4th, would probably be higher on my list than Julio. Okay? Let's just look at it, right? He had 60. He literally had double the touchdowns. Literally. Double the touchdowns of Julio Jones. Double. And he played in the 90s. Double. Touchdowns matter, guys. In the 11 seasons Owens played in this quarter century, he recorded 3 second-place finishes and 1 infamous driveway news conference. He led the league in receiving touchdowns 3 times, and his 80.3 receiving yards per game ranked 6th among receivers with at least 50 games played. Owens would play through an injury, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah. He played great against the Patriots and still lost. Okay. T.O., his just physicality is off the charts. Like his ability to just win against press. Like you could not press the guy. He was too strong. His strength and then his explosiveness and acceleration were just incredibly unique. Did not have the hands of Randy Moss, but he was a beast. Marvin Harrison, this one is probably the most suspect so far. I love Marvin, don't get me wrong, but his stats definitely drop off here. 10,000 receiving yards, but 95 receiving touchdowns. He was good in the 90s too. I think 99 specifically. He did not miss a first or second team All-Pro from 99 to 06. That is true. He also led the NFL only 1 time in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns, but he led the NFL in receiving DYAR 3 times. That's pretty impressive. Harrison had 205 targets in 02, the 3rd highest total in NFL history. He caught 70% of those passes. Marvin Harrison is definitely in the discussion. I'm not sure if he would be on my list. Justin Jefferson, I wouldn't have Justin Jefferson yet on here. Okay, there are guys that aren't on here that don't, I feel like I would have here. So I would have Randy Moss, without a doubt. Okay. I would have Terrell Owens, without a doubt. I would probably have Megatron. So they pick 6. I would have those 3. Then I would have Julio on there. And then I'd probably have AB, who they didn't mention. They have him on the practice squad. Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, like, his peak is, like, statistically insane. Like, it is ludicrous. His peak statistics are nuts. I know that he's very unlikable right now and people don't like him, and I get that, but he would be here. And then the other guy I would have here, over Marvin Harrison and Justin Jefferson, I would have Tyreek Hill. I would have Tyreek Hill on this team. Tyreek at peak levels, unstoppable player. The combination of speed and quickness and game-changing capabilities, he would be on the list. I'd have Tyreek over Justin Jefferson. I'd have AB over Marvin Harrison. Those guys both deserve to be mentioned, but I'd have those two ahead of them. And then Andre Johnson's a great shout as well. Andre Johnson would be right underneath those guys. Steve Smith is another one that just kind of came to mind for me. But yeah, those guys are good picks. I just feel like AB and I'd have Tyreek. Tyreek not even mentioned is pretty wild. Tight ends. Rob Gronkowski. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. Okay. Best tight end of all time. Most well-rounded tight end of all time. Touchdown machine. Arguably the best touchdown maker in NFL history. Gronk's 2011 season is the highest of all time in terms of touchdowns and advanced stats. He ranked first in DYAR among tight ends 3 times and second 2 other times. Oh, and he's also a devastating blocker. Yes. Okay, I like that picture, by the way. I might put that in the thumbnail. Travis Kelce. Kelce is simply the best pure receiving tight end in a quarter century. If we count the postseason, Kelce recorded more receiving yards than any other tight end in that span. On a per-game basis, the only player that comes close is Brock Bowers. Okay. Kelce ranked number 1 among tight ends in DYAR 3 times. Yeah, Kelce I can't disagree with. Best pure receiver? Well, he's not really... I don't want to say he's not really a tight end, but honestly, he's closer to a slot receiver than he is really like a true Y tight end. But yeah, Kelce, especially like the headline highlighter is the postseason. That's what it is, right? I'm not exactly sure if he's first or where he is now. Like, I think he did pass Jerry Rice, but that's absolutely the clutch, right? Is where he definitely makes this. Tony Gonzalez, I agree, was great year after year after year, and a career that seemingly went on forever. His conditioning, his ability to keep, even now, Gonzalez looks great. Like he looks like he could play now. He led all tight ends in receiving 7 different times in DYAR. That's pretty impressive. Ranked in the top 5, 12 out of 14 seasons. His career total in receptions is still an all-time high for tight ends and ranks 3rd highest of any player of all time. Tony G's longevity. The peak isn't quite as good as Kelce or Gronk, but that's also era and team and quarterback driven as well, so give that credit. But yeah, he's definitely 3rd. Antonio Gates is the one that I would have mentioned, and they mentioned him. Is there anyone else? George Kittle. George Kittle would definitely be considered, but I don't think he's on the level of these 3 guys, so I get that. Left tackles, Joe Thomas. Okay. In his 11 pro seasons, he failed to reach the Pro Bowl only 1 time. That was in 2017, his final year. His 6-time first-team All-Pro selections are 2 more than any tackle in that span. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, that's impressive. Yeah, so that's a pretty obvious one, I think. Trent Williams. Nice to see Trent on here, for sure. Williams was chosen for the Pro Bowl in 11 seasons from 2012 to 2023. He is a beast. He was very good in his 20s in Washington, but even better in San Francisco, leading all tackles in pass block win rate in 2023. Walter Jones is on here, highly influential for, that 2005 Seahawks team. I would say, I don't know how many years Jonathan Ogden played in the 2000s, but Jonathan Ogden is arguably the best left tackle of all time. At least he's in the discussion, and he's not mentioned here, so that does make me think, I think he maybe started his career in 96, so maybe he didn't have quite enough time. But who else at left tackle? David Bakhtiari, quick shout, had a really good prime in his career. There aren't a lot of guys that are coming to mind, personally, that are better than these guys. I can't really say that. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Jordan Mailata seems like a reach. I'm not going to lie about Jordan Mailata. That seems like a reach. I'm not going to lie. Left guard. I would rather have like Tristan Wirfs over Jordan Mailata, but okay. Left guards, Alan Faneca. Interesting selection. A stalwart at left guard for the Steelers. Six-time first team All-Pro. He is a Hall of Famer, I think, at this point, right? But Alan Faneca was very good. Very good. Even a part of some bad offensive lines at the Steelers at times, too. But very influential on their Super Bowl win in 2005. And then, a part of some very good Steelers teams there. 8-time All-Pro. Steve Hutchinson, I think that's a good pick. Because I think the thing that's impressive about Steve Hutchinson is that every place he played ran the ball really well. That's like Seattle ran the ball exceptionally well to record numbers. Vikings ran the ball exceptionally well to record numbers. Like, it speaks for itself. 7-time All-Pro. Okay. Joel Bitonio, a little bit of a reach. Quentin Nelson, huge reach. Logan Mankins, thank you for mentioning him. But this is an outrageous no mention of Zach Martin. To me, that's outrageous. No mention of Zach Martin at all. Not one. Oh, also Tyron Smith, low key. Tyron Smith would be up there for the tackle position. Guards are tough to think about, man. Guards are, I'm sorry, but they're very forgettable. I would have to go through the entire NFL to kind of remember. I want to say maybe Evans from the Saints, I think, would maybe be in that discussion. Yeah, it's very tough. I mean, Chris Lindstrom's coming on pretty strong right now. Joe Thuney, I mean, he's up there. I don't think he's quite that level. I think those two spots are pretty accurate. Faneca and Hutchinson are pretty solid. I can't really deny that. Logan Mankins, though, man. Logan Mankins is close. And then Zach Martin. Like, come on. I think he should at least get mentioned here. Center, Jason Kelce. I agree. He's arguably the best center of all time. Arguably. I would say, though, I'm not sure why they don't have two centers. They only have one. One-time Super Bowl champ. Unfortunately, he didn't play one more year and he would have won two, but it is what it is. 6-time All-Pro. I agree with that. I can't really disagree with that. I don't know how long Kevin Mawai played in this era. Jeff Saturday. Also pretty damn good. I would say Kelce, though, by far number one. I wouldn't really say anyone else is number two. I'm not really sure. Marquise Pouncey, 9-time Pro Bowler, is so outrageous to me. That's so overrated. Right guards. Oh, okay, there's Zach Martin. Okay, I thought it was guards in general. That's my bad, guys. I just ranted about Zach Martin. I didn't even realize that was only left guard. I'm sorry. I take that back, ESPN. I am sorry. And Marshall Yonda, that's the one I forgot about. Yeah, Marshall Yonda is a great pick. Marshall Yonda was a beast. Absolute behemoth. 9-time All-Pro. That's what I'm saying, bro. Zach Martin might be the best guard since 2000, to be honest with you. 7 first-team All-Pros. He did not have a weakness. Footwork, base, punch, athleticism, strength, and mind. Marshall Yonda is a great pick. And there's Evans. See, I know my ball, guys. There's Evans. I forgot about Yonda. That's my bad. 7-time All-Pro from the Ravens. But yeah, he, run blocking-wise, absolute animal. First among guards in run block win rate in 18 and 19. Right tackles, Lane Johnson. Can't disagree with that. Lane Johnson, future Hall of Famer, 2-time Super Bowl champ, influential in these Eagles' success. Influential in both Super Bowl wins, both seasons. Leads all right tackles in Pro Bowl selections since 2000. Okay, that's also impressive. I didn't know that. Willie Anderson. Don't know if I agree with that one. I don't know if I agree with Willie Anderson, but he might be mightily underrated. Even though our time span cuts off the first 4 seasons of Anderson's career, what he did from 2000 still earns a spot on the list. I guess this is only right tackle, so that's kind of tough. There aren't, a lot of incredible right tackles, and honestly, a lot of them do move from the right to the left. A lot of them do move from the right to the left, so that's part of the problem. Yeah, Tristan Wirfs, I guess, but he plays left now, so like, yeah. Willie Anderson, I guess that's a good shout though. He's not often talked about. Edge rushers, it's interesting that DeMarcus Ware is the first one they put on the list. I'm not sure DeMarcus Ware would be first, but I will say if you're looking for like the most complete edge rusher of the era, it's hard to deny that DeMarcus Ware, there's not one more complete than him. I mean, he was fast, physical, strong, could produce numbers, could stop the run. Like DeMarcus Ware had every element of an edge rusher you would possibly imagine. Like he had everything, power, speed, all of it. There are many great edge rushers to choose from, but they generally come in two categories: great career totals or great peaks. Ware had the best balance between both. That's a fair argument. He had the third most sacks out of all players since 2000, while his .78 sacks per game ranks fourth among edge rushers. I love that he's on there. Jared Allen, wow, okay. Number 2. Allen's peak was incredibly strong, hitting 22 sacks. I think Jared Allen was a little overrated. I'm sorry. Yes, sack beast, monster sacker. I think he was a little overrated from a well-rounded capacity. Great celly guy, though. He always had cellies. He ranks 4th among edge rushers in sacks, if we include J.J. Watt. He hit double-digit sacks 8 times, which is pretty sick. I mean, yeah, in terms of pass rushing, he's in the conversation. But, bro, Jared Allen's 3rd. Myles Garrett 4th. Okay, since Garrett entered the league in 2017, no edge player has accumulated more pass rush wins ahead of T.J. Watt. And Garrett did that while maintaining the 3rd highest double team rate. He has made the most of the 8 seasons in the league. What is it with it, bro? Julius Peppers, how is Julius Peppers 4th on this list? Are we on crack? Are we on cocaine? Yo, Julius Peppers should be higher than this. I don't know if, again, I think this is in order. So, Julius Peppers is better than Jared Allen. In no world is Jared Allen better than Julius Peppers. In 0 worlds that I have existed in. Dwight Freeney is probably better than Jared Allen too. I'm just going to throw that out there. Also, where the heck is Von Miller? Does Von Miller not count? If Von Miller is not on this team, I will lose my shit. Where is Von Miller? Are we what? Where is Von Miller? If TJ Watt is an honorable mention, then that means 3-4 outside linebackers technically should be on this list. Von Miller's not on the team? Are we stupid? TJ Watt is not on the team? Okay, can somebody explain to me why we always put Myles Garrett over TJ Watt? Can somebody understand? Can somebody make me understand? Explain it to me like I'm a child. TJ Watt has more sacks, more forced fumbles, more tackles, more interceptions, more passes defensed. He has more times leading the league in sacks. He's led the league in sacks 3 times. I think he has a 19 sack season once or twice. TJ Watt is above Myles Garrett in historic legacy. Like, what? Michael Strahan, I can kind of understand just because he played in the 90s. But Michael Strahan in the early 2000s was devastating. I mean, he set the single sack record there. So Michael Strahan also, like, if we're talking peaks, bro, I don't know how he's not on the list above Jared Allen. But, I mean, okay, whatever. Defensive tackles, Aaron Donald. Yeah, okay. I don't even have to talk about this one. His 20.5 sacks in 2018 set the single season record for defensive tackles, while his career total is second below John Randall. It's funny how John Randall and Aaron Donald are like the same archetype of player, but Aaron Donald's just better. Um, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 8-time All-Pro, 1-time Super Bowl champ. I'm glad that he got that Super Bowl, by the way. He's only one of 3 players to have 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. That's his most accomplished and most, dominant trait, I think. Like, to have that many Defensive Player of the Year awards is extremely impressive alongside those names. Also, like, if you check his advanced analytics, they're insane. Like, his PFF stuff is crazy. Calais Campbell, wow. Okay. I didn't see that one coming, but I love Calais Campbell. Though Campbell has benefited from a 17-year career and counting, his numbers are quite truly remarkable. He's only 1 sack shy of Donald, while his total EPA ranks 4th and first among interior defenders. Okay. Has moved around a lot over his career. That's the thing, though, right? Like, he played D tackle, but he played 3 tech, but he's also played edge. So, like, when you're calculating the EPA, his numbers are kind of skewed. Also, I would say you've been talking about peaks the entire time. And now with Calais Campbell, you're talking about longevity. So can we pick one? Because I don't think the peak of Calais Campbell playing defensive tackle is as good as some of the other guys that you could have put on there. Chris Jones, for example, being one of them, right? There were a number of great interior defensive linemen who could have been considered. Some of them had more first-team All-Pros than Jones. Kevin Williams had 5. That's impressive for Kevin Williams. Big run-stopping beast. Cameron Hayward had 4. Wow, okay. Warren Sapp also had 3, not including his career before 2000. Warren Sapp was Chris Jones before Chris Jones. But in the end, we asked ourselves, who would we choose if he had to win one game? I would choose Chris Jones over Calais Campbell. I'm sorry, Calais. Practice squad, Kevin Williams and Cameron Hayward. So this is strictly defensive tackle. That is interesting. Interesting. Now, I need to check the other interior spots because I feel like there's other players that I'd probably put ahead of Calais Campbell. Nose tackles. Vince Wilfork. Thank you for mentioning Vince Wilfork as the only nose tackle. One of the greatest of all time. 5-time All-Pro. Wilfork hit 105 in approximate value, a stat by Pro Football Reference that attributes a single number on seasonal value to a player. That's the most by any nose tackle in our span and the 4th among any D tackle regardless of alignment. That's pretty impressive. I will say, Dexter Lawrence is creeping. Casey Hampton was good, but he's not Vince Wilfork. Haloti Ngata, wasn't he a nose tackle? He would also be in consideration, I would think. Also, for the D tackle position, I just thought of Ndamukong Suh. I feel like Ndamukong Suh's peak was pretty crazy. He was one of the best at that position. Versatile defensive lineman. So they created their own category for J.J. Watt. Fair enough, I guess. Yeah, that's obvious. If you don't think J.J. Watt's like a top 5 defensive player in NFL history, you didn't watch J.J. Watt play. He should have won MVP one season. That's all I'll really say about that. He's one of 3 players to win Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. He has the best plus EPA of any player since 2000. Wow. Linebackers, Ray Lewis. Doesn't include the 4 seasons before 2000, but still number 1. I agree with that. Can't disagree with it. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 7-time All-Pro, 2-time Super Bowl champ. Yeah, probably leader of the defense, leader of the team, other than the quarterback. He led all linebackers in Pro Football Reference approximate value. His EPA is 2nd among all players since 2001, and that omits one of his Defensive Player of the Year seasons. The Ravens ranked as the best defense in the NFL. Yes. The 2000 Ravens, the 04 Ravens, and the 06 Ravens defenses, and the 08 Ravens defenses were all insanely good. Like, not good. Not just good. Like, insanely good. Bobby Wagner. I don't know if I'd have him second, but he's definitely on the team, especially with the longevity, the Super Bowl championship. 11-time All-Pro doesn't feel accurate. Like, feels like he's gotten a couple there notched on at the end, but it is what it is. The same number of All-Pros as Ray Lewis, which is more than any linebacker. His 10 Pro Bowl selections don't even include the year he finished second in Defensive Rookie of the Year, or the year he helped lead the Seahawks to a Super Bowl win. Wagner also led the NFL in tackles 3 times. Yeah, congratulations. Only London Fletcher has more tackles than Wagner. Brian Urlacher, 1-time Defensive Player of the Year, 5-time All-Pro. That's the thing where it's like, with Brian Urlacher and Bobby Wagner, right? The peak of Brian Urlacher, is that more substantial than Bobby Wagner's longevity? That's the question you got to ask yourself, because Bobby Wagner's never won a Defensive Player of the Year or really come that close to it, I would say. Urlacher led the Bears, and he also led the team with Rex Grossman to a Super Bowl. Bobby Wagner's never done that. I'll say that. The Urlacher-led Bears had the 3rd best defense in terms of EPA per play from 01 to 12. That sounds right. His 22 career interceptions are second most. Very good in coverage. He was a former safety in college. Ranks 4th among all players in EPA per game. Lavonte David. I love that Lavonte David's on here, but I'm honestly not sure I'd actually have him on here. I love that he's on here because I love Lavonte David. Phenomenal football player, but I'm not sure that I would actually have him on here. We'll have to see who made it. 39 sacks, 31 forced fumbles is an impressive combination. 1-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time All-Pro. No linebacker over the last 25 years has dominated with splash plays quite like David. His 415 defeats... What does this mean? His 415 defeats rank 3rd among all players. Defeats like winning block shedding? While his 31.9 defeats per game ranks 1st. That's impressive. That's why they're always good against the run, because David's all over the football. His 330 pass tackle stops, 330. Derek Brooks had 275. Is the only player since 1991 with more than 240. Derek Brooks isn't even on here. Derek Brooks played in the 90s, though, and he peaked in 02, so he probably didn't have enough longevity, which is fair. Luke Kuechly is the one where, like, Luke Kuechly at his peak, I can't say that anyone other than Ray Lewis is better than Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly was unbelievable, guys. Luke Kuechly was unbelievable. His intelligence, his range, he was incredible. Like, Luke Kuechly was a stud. He got hurt way too much, and he retired way too soon. But, man, he was so good. He was better than Bobby Wagner. There's no doubt about it. Anybody that thinks that Bobby Wagner was better than Luke Kuechly, they've lost their minds. I'm sorry. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year, and a 7-time All-Pro. Derek Brooks was an honorable mention. No Patrick Willis. Unbelievable. No Patrick Willis. Patrick Willis was better than Lavonte David. I'm sorry. He was. I love Lavonte David. Patrick Willis was better than him. Yeah. That's the one name I that comes to mind where I'm like, what? Next, cornerback Darrelle Revis, yes. Even the best receivers in the NFL disappeared on Revis Island in the star corner's best season. Yeah, okay. We don't have to discuss that. He shut it down. Champ Bailey, I'm glad that... You could argue Champ Bailey, for his longevity, was better than Darrelle Revis. I don't think people talk about Champ Bailey the way that they should talk about Champ Bailey. Champ Bailey was insane. There were seasons where he led the NFL in interceptions, and there were seasons where he shut people down. Like, Darrelle Revis didn't really have that combination. Like, he had 47 interceptions, and Revis had 29, just for example, right? Revis did have the Super Bowl in 2014. Champ never had that, but Champ did it on different teams, too. He amassed an approximate value of 149. Since 2000, that is more than any corner by a healthy margin. See, that's what I mean. Like Bailey with the longevity, you could argue he's ahead of Revis. Now Revis's peak is better. But like not that by that much. Like Bailey in like 04, 05, 06 was insanely good. He qualifies for both peak and longevity. He tied Ray Lewis for Pro Bowls. Rondé Barber, great player. I'm not sure that he would if he's playing nickel, I can understand. Integral to the Tampa 2, yes. Plenty of corners in that era played close to the line of scrimmage as a part of the cover 2, but no one matched Barber's numbers against the run and the pass. He led all DBs with 292 defeats since 2000. That's a cool stat. Charles Woodson is the only other defensive back with 220. I don't see Charles Woodson here either. Rondé Barber, 5-time All-Pro. Okay. Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman at his peak was better than Rondé Barber, I would say. Richard Sherman at his peak was better than Rondé Barber. 3 straight first-team All-Pros and 20 interceptions in 3 years. That's pretty good. And he was also, just like Rondé Barber with the cover 2, integral in the Legion of Boom and the cover 3. Right? Patrick Peterson. I always kind of feel like Patrick Peterson's been overrated his entire career a little bit. I kind of do. I'm not going to lie. Maybe it's just like the recency bias. During the peak part of his career, peaking when he allowed a league-leading 4.4 yards per target in 2015. He also tied for 8th in Sherman in interceptions. I think Peterson, I know that Ty Law played in the 90s, but Ty Law has got to be up there. Stephon Gilmore has got to be up there. They're not mentioned. Jalen Ramsey is... Ramsey over Peterson, maybe? Am I forgetting about anybody from the 2000s? I'm not sure. Am I forgetting anybody? I mean, Pat Surtain's on his way, I guess. He's on his way, but he's not there yet. I think that's fair. I don't know if I'd... Man, that's tough. Safeties, Ed Reed, without a doubt. Without a doubt. One of the best players of all time. The ultimate ball hawk, Reed picked off 15 more passes than any DB in the quarter. I didn't even know that he had 64 interceptions. I didn't even know that. 11 forced fumbles, 1-time Defensive Player of the Year, I believe, was 04, 1-time Super Bowl champ in 2012, 8-time All-Pro. His .39 picks per game were by far the highest, amounting to almost 1 interception per 10 quarters. That's insane. During his Defensive Player of the Year, he picked off 9 passes. The first of 2 seasons, he hit that number. Yeah, Ed Reed is... Just look at how Bill Belichick talks about Ed Reed. That's all you need to know. Troy Polamalu, yes, absolutely agree. Polamalu at his peak was an insane player. He was literally insane. Like, he would fly around the league and around the field. He is 5th among safeties in passes defense since 2000. He also had 80 run stops, tackles to stop runs short of a successful play, which was 3rd among defensive backs. Okay, yeah, I agree with that. Brian Dawkins, I absolutely agree for his leadership, for his intensity. Dawkins delivered some huge hits during his 12 seasons of this quarter century, as evidenced by the fact that he forced the 2nd most forced fumbles. He also had great longevity. When Dawkins was on the Eagles from 2000 to 08, they ranked 3rd in defensive EPA per dropback. Okay, yeah. I think those are the top 3 by far. Top 3 by far. Earl Thomas is number 4. Fair enough. Thomas doesn't have many impressive numbers because you don't accumulate numbers when nobody is throwing the ball near you. He shut down the deep part of the field for the Seahawks, but you guys did say that this was analytics statistical driven, so I'm not sure if you should have Earl Thomas on here then. I'll just say that. Okay. I would say Charles Woodson at safety. That's interesting. I would have Charles Woodson maybe at corner. That's the one that I forgot. Charles Woodson would be a corner above Patrick Peterson. Safety-wise, Rodney Harrison comes to mind immediately. Peak Bob Sanders was an assassin. Peak Bob Sanders for like 1 or 2 years was an insane football player. Yeah, those are probably the right selections. Eric Berry was really good for like a few years. That's probably accurate. John Lynch, nah. Yeah, that's fair. Kickers, Justin Tucker. Give me Adam Vinatieri, especially after what happened with Justin Tucker. Punter, Shane Leckler. I agree. The guy had a ridiculous leg. 6 All Pros. Led the league in gross punt average 5 years. Devin Hester, GOAT. Hester is remembered for scoring on the opening kickoff. He was actually more prolific as a punt returner. He became the first guy inducted in the Hall of Fame. Nice. Matthew Slater. Yes, sir, Matthew Slater. Let's go. The Patriots had above average special teams DVOA every single season from 96 to 2020. Slater was a huge factor in the second half of that streak. He had only 1 career reception as a receiver. Morgan Cox at long snapper. Okay, who cares? Coaching staff. Bill Belichick at head coach. We wrestled back and forth between Reed and Belichick. Reed has the advantage of sustained success with multiple quarterbacks, multiple franchises, but we went with Belichick because Tom Brady is his quarterback on this team. No, I'm just kidding. Because of the superior success in the postseason, 9 Super Bowl appearances and 6 Super Bowl championships. It's hard to argue against Belichick. It's hard to argue. Also, he's the defensive mastermind. He's the best defensive coach of all time. You guys could mention that in this thing, okay? Kyle Shanahan. Let's freaking go. Let's get Kyle Shanahan on the list. I love that. Offensive coordinator. You guys I don't know your rules here, but you could have put Andy Reid here, couldn't you? But Kyle Shanahan, if we're strictly talking offensive coordinator, then that's fine. That's fair. Our criteria for coordinators was that head coaches were allowed as long as they spent some time as a coordinator. Okay. I don't think Reid actually did, so that's fair. Shanahan, along with Sean McVay and the resulting coaching tree, proliferated a schematical shift. Yes, that's the influential element. That's very fair. Including, okay, so teams coordinated or coached by Shanahan included 3 seasons where they ranked top 2 in DVOA and 6 seasons in the top 6. Shanahan's statistical success is notable given that he usually has not had elite quarterbacks. The most playing time is Jimmy Garoppolo. Wade Phillips. This is a good pick. Wade Phillips had great defenses. He took the Falcons defense from 24th to 10th in 2002. The Chargers from 28th to 9th. The Texans from 30th to 8th. He took the Broncos to number 1 in 2015 and 2016. And also the Rams. Don't forget about the Rams. And then the Bills and the Cowboys as well as head coach. That's a good pick. Special teams coordinator, Tobe. It's Tobe, right? I always forget. He coordinated, he was with the Chiefs for a while, I believe. Was he with the Cowboys and the Rams? Or am I wrong about that? Top 5 special teams unit in every season from 2006 to 2017. That's damn good coaching. So there it is, guys. The quarter century team. I spent quite some time breaking that down. I think it's pretty good. It's not bad. I have some subtle, small disagreements. I feel like they left 1 or 2 players off of every position. I think the most egregious one is running back. Like, running back is so wrong, it's not even funny. But yeah, that's what it is, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Gronk spike the like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you're not a jabroni. Peace.